Welcome to Nismo D21. In this episode, we're going to install some LED lights on this turd. We are doing another product review. Today we are checking out a set of these 7-inch LED flood and spot lamps that were sent to me by the NAO company. I have done reviews for them before. I reviewed their headlights before on the green truck, and this time they wanted me to review their work lights. This is a 7-inch light bar. It is 12,000 lumens, 240 watts, and has a advertised working life of 50,000 hours. I don't think this video is going to be 50,000 hours long, but it'll be a few minutes. We're going to go over the installation, what you're going to need, where I'm going to put it on this truck, and then finally my final thoughts on whether this is worth the $37 that they're charging on Amazon or not. So let's get started. This particular light is available through Amazon. I am going to leave a link in the description below. The model number, according to this box that's sitting on the dash right here, is X001P013GX. It's described as an LED light bar. The description on Amazon says that these will run on everything from 9 volts all the way up to 30 volts. We're running on a 12-volt system here. It uses a stud mount, just like most fog lights and work lights use. So if you've got a 3/8 hole somewhere, this will most likely mount in that position. Something cool that I've noticed about these lights, though, is the actual mount itself is held in position by these 2 Allen keys right here. You loosen these Allen keys up, and it allows you to slide the mount back and forth on the lamp itself, because there's captive nuts inside this slot here. So you could offset it, have the mount on one side or have the mount on the other side, or in this case I've got them on the center. Also allows you to be able to do a tilt up and down adjustment because of the slots that are on the mount here. So that should be handy. That's going to allow us to be able to put this in multiple spots. They advertise this light as being able to be used on anything from boats to ATVs to, you know, trucks, cars, probably even indoor you know, applications. If you really want, you can probably mount this to your toolbox if you got a 12-volt source of some kind. The only thing that comes in the kit is the lights themselves with a pigtail. The pigtail is rather short, and they're using about 18 gauge wiring on this thing. So what I've done is, and I haven't shrunk these yet, so in case you guys are wondering what's going on with these butt connectors, I'm using shrinkable butt connectors. I haven't shrunk them yet. These go from red to blue. So I'm stepping up from like an 18 gauge wire to about a 14 gauge wire here. That'll allow me to run it wherever I want, because I've got quite a bit of wire here, lots of scrap laying around from previous installations, so I've got a lot of options here. You're probably going to want some eyelets. You're probably going to want some self-tapping screws so you can mount the grounds. You're going to want a relay, and obviously you're going to want a switch. This particular truck that we're in here is my 1991 hardbody, and it's already pre-wired for lights that used to be on this roll bar here. I'm going to repurpose the switch to run these right off the front bumper. I will eventually get these running lights that are on the roll bar working. I was kind of hoping to do that this week, but I've been slowly and surely rained out here. It's been beautiful all year long, and then as soon as I go on vacation, guess what happens? Anyways, so let's get started on installing these LEDs on this 1991 hardbody. Alright, this should give you a rough idea of my installation idea that I'm going to do. If you have a brush guard, usually they come with the holes already pre-drilled, but this is a 2-wheel drive truck, no brush guard. So I drilled 2 holes. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drill 2 more holes kind of hidden behind them here, not as obvious, just so I can sneak this wiring in. I don't want to do it through the grill, because in the event that I have to take the grill off or I have to take the lighting out for some reason, it's just going to be a pain in the butt. So I figured if I can keep the grill independent, I can pop that on and off as I need to, and the lights can stay in position from there. Okay, so I'm using heat shrinkable butt connectors here. They go from an 18 gauge wire up to a 14 gauge wire, so it's a blue or red on one side, blue on the other, just because the wiring is a little on the thin side for this. I know LEDs don't use a lot of power, but I do want to run bigger wiring if I have the option. Now I've drilled a hole using a step drill. And I got the hole big enough that I can cram both butt connectors through it. And once the light is in position, then you don't even notice that it's there. It's quite nicely hidden. I'll have to do some touch-up work on this bumper at some point. But the nice part about getting the grill out of the way is it allows you to be able to work unhindered behind it. I'm not tightening these down yet because I'm going to probably have to loosen them up to get the grill back in. But the wiring is now in place. Alright, I left myself a lot of ground wire here just because I wanted to be sure that I could get it to where I wanted it to be. So it doesn't need to be that long, so I'm going to turn it back and then I'm going to strip it. I'm just going to set it up like that. Just going to have a little bit of play, and I'm going to drill the self-tapper right through here with the blue eyelet that I just bought. So we don't really need that much wire. I'm just going to cut a little bit off here. Just ran to the store, bought these blue eyelets with a smaller size head. This is all it is, just an eyelet like that. Once you get it in position in here, feed it into the eyelet. Make sure you got enough wire in there. I bought these snap-on crimpers. They are awesome. They just do a fantastic job every single time. So we'll just crimp it like that, and then just take a little bit of fire and shrink them down from there. This will help keep the elements out. It won't be perfect. If you drive your vehicle in winter, which this one is not driven in winter, you'll probably want to do a little bit more in the way of securing or shielding this wiring. So, we're just using some basic 10 by 16 by half self-drilling screws here. That's all we need. They just got to fit the size of the eyelet and then go straight through the metal, and then we don't have to ask much more of that. Done and done. Alright, that one is mounted. Cool. Okay, next we're going to be sending wires down from the relay directly to the lights. It's a 5-terminal relay. As I said in a previous clip, this truck had a light bar on it at one point. I removed it, but the wiring to the switch in the dash and the primary and negative wires are still intact. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to skin back some of this insulation, put these female spade terminals on, and then they'll just slip right onto the terminals of the relay. They're insulated, so they won't touch any of the other terminals. Take this female spade terminal right here, and we're just going to feed it into this connector, or we're going to feed the wire into it, and just crimp it like that. So it's crimped, and now we're just going to use fire to shrink. Now, as I said earlier, if you live in a state that gets winter, has salt on the ground, and you end up driving your vehicle in the winter, you're probably going to want to take some extra steps to just make sure that your wiring is protected. Once again, we're just running wiring. That's pretty much this whole thing is. It's just a whole series of just running wiring and getting it where you want it, and then just cleaning up so it looks like a clean install. So I'm peeling back a little bit of the insulation here. I've got my connector here for the passenger side light. I'm going to insert the wire and then crimp. So that's now done. So when I go to make this thing pretty, I'm going to run some new zip ties here and make it look pretty from there. Okay, so I ended up changing my plan slightly. I ended up using a Scotch lock here on the power wire going to the lights. So they are running parallel off of the same wire there. And as you can see, they're both installed, they're both working, and they're both very, very bright. So Let me get this back together and then I will show you guys the finished product. So once again, this product is made by a company called NAO, all capital letters. They are available through Amazon, and this particular set that we're putting on today is about $38 shipped from Amazon. I am not sponsored by this company. I was approached and asked to do a non-biased install and review, and that's exactly what we're doing today. We are running NAO headlights on this truck as well, basically because I'm not sponsored, so I'm not just saying this. Their headlights are extremely bright for the price. I think I paid, well, the green truck was a Reveiw set. This was a second set that I purchased later on, and these were about 26 bucks for the elements that are sitting inside the housings today. That's how impressed I was with them, and I've driven this thing at night coming home from, well, actually this shop, and they work perfectly. I can see I have not been flashed by anybody, so that's always a good sign when people aren't being blinded going down the road. Alright, cool. So next step is going to be putting the grill on. This truck is all put together with zip ties. Alright, one last thing I thought I would mention, because I forgot to do it and you're going to forget to do it too, is once you get all this bolted in, you want to make sure that you have the 2 bolts on the back of the housing tight, because otherwise it'll wiggle around. I got it all tightened down, and then the second I tried to wiggle them, I noticed that they were wiggling in the back. So these need to be tightened, preferably before you tighten the rest of it down. Now if you're mounting these out in the open, where you can really get on the, you know, if you can really get on the screws from an open point, then you're good. But I did not do that, so here I am suffering through having to tighten these down again. Okay, so right now we just have the parking lamps on. This is the LED headlights from NAO. These are the LED work lamps. These are the work lamps with the headlights. There you have it, folks. There's 12,000 lumens shining right now. It is currently 8:44 p.m. on the East Coast, so we're at dusk right now, and the lights are bright as hell. So as you can see, these light bars are extremely bright. 12,000 lumens really is no joke. I wouldn't even need my headlights if I had these things on at night. Yeah, the installation was pretty easy. Just got to watch out and make sure that those Allen bolts are tightened down. It is kind of a different kind of mounting, but it seems to be sturdy. That's all that matters there. The company is pleasant to deal with, and the product is seems well built. It's got some bulk and heft to it, so it doesn't feel cheap. We'll find out. We'll do a longevity test and see how well they survive, and then I'll do a follow-up at some point. But beautiful night. Let's flip on the headlights real quick.